I appreciate y'all joining me. We are live on millions.co and on YouTube as well. I know it's hot. I know it's hotter than a crack pipe on the 1st and 15th out there. That's why you drink water. You leave those libations alone at home. So there you go. Well, my guest tonight, I'm very interested in what we just talked about off camera, and we're gonna talk about it more. But she's a jiu-jitsu competitor. We love it when they do that. There's this big thing on the UFC competitor now. I forget what the show is called. I watch it every week, and I still forget what it's called. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest at this time is Miss Melanie Welzel. Is that did I say it right?
Yes.
I did say it right. So tell me about what you got coming up next.
So I am going to be part of the NGA trio. There are going to be 6 women's teams. Obviously made of 3 ladies each. I am part of a team called the Whisker Warriors. My other 2 ladies hail out of XCal and Annandale. So
yeah,
really excited to be with Emily and Elizabeth for this event.
And that's awesome. And you said there's something else coming up in August, right? You said you're going to try to put yourself on, correct?
Yes. So my friend Meredith runs Joan of Darce. It's an all-women's grappling event that'll be happening in Maryland in August the 16th, I believe.
Oh, very cool. So, and we said off camera, she met Craig Jones?
Yeah, I think she was at Henzo Gracie Morgantown last night and got to meet Craig. He's going up and down the East Coast. So that's really exciting because I hail out of Richmond, so always exciting to see if he stops by here.
That's cool. I actually trained with Rodrigo Gracie in the late 2000s. So
it's awesome.
If you don't know who he is, he may have lost to him, but his claim to fame was fighting BJ Penn. So it's been cool. But so you're from New England?
I am from Richmond, Virginia.
Oh, so y'all driving or flying up there for this?
So this event is actually in Maryland. It's at High Noon Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay. The one in August, right?
Both of them actually are in Maryland. The July event coming up is at High Noon, and the August event is at Nomad.
I had such a brain fart. You keep saying Maryland. I keep thinking of Maine.
That's
why I said New England. But no,
in every state, so it's not even who knows which one it is.
Yeah, but no, I get it. And so I have never been to the state of Maryland. I don't know much about the combat community, over there in that part of the world. I've interviewed people from the Carolinas before, and you said Virginia is where you're at, though, right?
Yeah. So where I'm at is about a couple hours from North Carolina. So obviously, like Toro Cup and Gloss, and there's some big North Carolina events that go on. And then above me is kind of like DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. So you have a lot of schools in that concentration. So I'm kind of like in between those two worlds. So whenever there's an event, I usually tend to float. Either I go up north, like more towards DC, Maryland, or I'll go down to like North Carolina, South Carolina area.
Okay, yeah, because I have never personally been to that state. I've been to DC when I was a teenager, but I haven't been to Maryland. Nothing against it. I just have not been there. I was in the Carolinas for an event. They flew me out for an event in beginning of May. So I like the East Coast doesn't really get its credit as much, in my opinion. Like you always talk about like the Californias. They have a pretty good one.
Right.
Obviously Nevada in the desert area, it's that speaks for itself. And then you got up there, this Boston, kind of boxing, foundation, but then all of a sudden, it's starting to catch up with mixed martial arts as well. And, Matt Serra, who you've probably heard his name, haven't you? Or do you know who Matt Serra is? Mm-hmm. Matt Serra is from that area, and he's was one of the first Brazilian jiu-jitsus in this or black belts in this country. So the Carolinas don't really get or the Carolinas and the East Coast and stuff like that, they don't get the credit they deserve.
Yeah, there's quite a few events over here. My the instructor, the black belt that runs our 10th planet, Jesse Merez, he hails from California. So there's a lot more just tournaments and different styles over there that I think the East Coast is just starting to embrace. Like my prior event I was just in was a quintet, and that's not, I feel like they're starting to come around here. This is a trio. I think some of the like ADCC has an event this year in New Jersey, and IBJJF, their Nogi Pans just released today. They're actually going back to New York. So I think some things on the East Coast are going to come up. But like you said, West Coast has always kind of hailed supreme for the jiu-jitsu world.
And you is that where you train out of his 10th planet?
So I go to Mongrel 10th Planet, yes.
Okay, yeah, because I have a relationship with the Long Island up in the New York area. I have a relationship with the head coach up there, so there's
one ladies is from Allentown, I believe, but I haven't been up to New York yet.
Oh, I get it, and it's just 10th Planet's an excellent school. I just recently had to defend the Long Island one. Controversy creates dollars, but I'm not trying to piss nobody off. So, that's the thing. So, how long have you been training?
About 6 years.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. I mean, you don't look old enough to have been training 6 years, but that's long. That's a long time, but you don't look old enough to be training 6 years.
Well, I'm 38, so Master 2 level right here.
I'm 41. You're not that much younger than I am.
So,
but you know something though. That's what I love about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I know Patrick Dodd. He owns one in a school down in Asheville, North Carolina, and he's in his 40s and late 40s at that, and he still competes.
Oh yeah, we have some fellas that in the quintet in their 40s and 50s that are black belts that are still competing, and it's really awesome to see like just the different levels that people do. I watch super fights and stuff of like, just the different ages, different levels. And that's what I love about the sport, that you can have teenagers that can just whoop you. This blue belt 15-year-old just destroys everybody. And then you have people in their 60s and 70s who are just still like Anthony Bourdain was a blue belt when he passed. So,
yeah, Anthony Bourdain. When did he pass?
Was it 2018, 2017?
I wish that I knew more about him.
He did a couple IBJJFs back then.
I feel bad because it's been so long now. I mean, 7 years goes by quick, but. No. So, are you married with kids or no?
Nope. It's just me and my cats.
I like cats.
Yeah. One of them's over here. She's in a lot of my promos. Werewolf. She's my black cat. That's really friendly.
I think I saw one on your Instagram page. I was doing research and stuff like that. I saw a cat.
That's her.
Yeah, I'm a cat person myself. I need to get I want to get a tattoo of a cat one day, but we'll see. Oh man. So, there's no significant other or anything like that. Maybe that helps you focus a little bit more on this. Do you have any hobbies outside of this?
Oh, I stay very busy, so I can't have too much downtime. I love to focus really a lot on like holistic care, self-care. I'm a full-time master's student for social work. I work full-time in healthcare.
Okay.
I coach and teach. I play Frisbee golf sometimes with some friends.
Yeah. I've been focused on learning the guitar.
That's awesome. That keeps the mind growing and engaged. I always like to think of myself as a student, and guitar's awesome.
I know it. Well, everybody always wants to learn rock and stuff like that. I'm like, I want to learn jazz and neo soul. There
you go.
I'm just hippie-ish enough to do it. I just got the haircut like a fighter, but I'm a hippie at soul.
You like Billy Strings, like Disco Biscuits, like
yeah, things like I don't know who any of those are, but I'll take your word for it.
Father John Misty, what's your inspiration?
As far as let's see, as far as that goes, oh gosh, I think his name is T.J. Whiteside. I don't know, like all the guys that I was inspired by guitar are the ones you probably heard of, but as far as the ones I want to be like, I believe it's T.J. Whiteside or something like that. I forget how he pronounces his name or his last name. I know it has to do with white, but let me see, T.J. Whitelaw. Whitelaw. He is so good. You ought to look him up on Instagram. TJ Whitelaw. I might send you his profile, but such great player. Man. I love his stuff, and it just inspires me to listen to that type of music.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm kind of like you. I'm very. I don't like. I have nothing against marriage and kids, but honestly, I would not be doing this show. I've been covering sports and combat sports for nearly 2 decades, and I've been with Millions for a while now because the radio thing didn't work out anymore, after COVID and stuff. So I've been doing this, and it's great because I've always had, I wouldn't have these relationships with people. I've been flown all over the country because of this, and so there is some malice. Like you get to go to Maryland to do, a couple hours away or whatever it is to do it. So.
Yeah, I love traveling. Like I've gone to Pans in Florida. I've gone to Master Worlds in Vegas. I actually do scientific wrestling as well. And once or twice a year, we meet up with the Canadians, either in Canada or the US, and like train with Scientific Wrestling Canada. They have Olympian Jordan Steen there. Got to work with him and Marco and Cam. And it's just a great group of guys doing that as well.
I was going to ask that in my notes. What in the hell is scientific wrestling?
So it's by Billy Robinson. It is his creation of wrestling where it just puts together like different concepts in autonomy and using like a heuristic clock as your format. But it's just taking all different wrestling techniques that you would use and combining them into a sport. So things that would be like illegal in jiu-jitsu, like a full Nelson, you could never do, but it's different. Like learning those moves along with like, they'll call like a wrist lock, a top or a double wrist lock is a Kimura. So it's like the old version of jiu-jitsu that comes into play where a lot of people have just modernized terms like Kimura. They renamed after the guy. So right. That's what it was originally. It's just a double wrist lock.
And you guys learned the full Nelson and all that?
Mm-hmm. We do all the rides and different formats and teachings, and it's really great. Jake Shannon, I've met with him. He kind of runs the whole program, but they have people all over the world that train, and I'm under Jesse Merez for that as well. I'm a assistant coach for scientific wrestling. So
very
fun.
cool.
The camps are great. Like it's intense. It's some hard work. Sorry, my computer is moving. I have a guest with me.
Oh yeah, let me see. Hey, what's his or her name?
Mrs. Werewolf, my Instagram cat you always see. She's very friendly and nosy, so she wanted to join us, I guess.
Oh, nice. No, I love it. That's great. I wish I could bring one of mine on, but I'm good. This is all professional equipment. I don't put my cats near it. I'm one of the few, millions. I'm glad that we're doing this 'cause I don't brag about a lot, but I have invested a lot into my equipment. So
yeah, I bet that's awesome. It makes a huge difference.
I can't have my cats near it. I'm sorry. I would probably fling them across the room. And then apologize afterwards. But so what is, do you, I know obviously I would not be doing mixed martial arts, but do you enjoy it?
Oh, so I started in a gi, and before Mongrel obtained a 10th planet as well, it was mostly gi and no gi. But I always just loved no gi. So back in those days, there was no 10th planet nearby. And what do? You just look up stuff on YouTube, right? So while I was never officially trained recently. I've always kind of just geared towards no gi. And then when I've competed, I noticed like the women that I would lose to would always have a wrestling background. So once that became an option, then I just took hold of the wrestling as well. So I don't really do many other martial arts. I'm not a huge athlete. I like to lift. I like to do jujitsu, but they're hobbies and they're super fun for me. So I just like to combine all the elements I can to make my own unique game style.
I remember when Matt Hughes fought Hoist Gracie in 2006, I believe it was. And, Hoist was a legend at that point. It'd been 13 years. He had started the UFC, and everything like that. And what happened is that the sport evolved where Matt's excellent wrestling background with the knowledge of jiu-jitsu is what defeated Hoist in the first place.
Yeah. I think that if you look at stats, wrestlers are one of the top athletes of the UFC if that's their primary background.
I agree. Even like Chuck Liddell, who was known as a striker, had wrestled in college. So yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, some might consider Merab the pound for pound fighter right now. Some might consider, and his background has a lot to do with wrestling and stuff like that. So there's some real malice to that.
Oh yeah, and in jiu-jitsu, what does everybody skip? Warm-ups and takedowns. So if you get one of those, maybe you'll do okay.
100%. I can't imagine not, warming up. I mean, come on, Oh my goodness. I remember when Robbie Lawler fought Pete Spratt, and he had gotten his hips, Robbie Lawler had gotten his hips dislocated because Pete Spratt had kicked the inside of him. And a lot of it had to do with not just not being able to defend, leg kicks, but he didn't warm up. So
if you're competing, you have to warm up. I'm a purple belt, so the joke is we just hang out in the parking lot till warm-ups are over, and I'm very much one of those people. Having a safety meeting before the actual practice.
Exactly. How far away do you think you are from the brown belt?
I trained gi for a long time primarily, and only last year or two have I really switched fully over to 10th Planet and no gi. So I actually hold a purple belt in both. So probably a little bit longer for gi because I just don't train it as much. I'm in it to win it at this point. I'll get a black belt at some point, but I don't know. That's up to my coaches. I trust them and their rankings of me. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, but whatever they say, I'm full agreement with.
And I hope that Matt Serra doesn't get ticked at me by saying this, but I remember Matt Serra, one of his biggest reputations was that he was stingy about giving away his black belts. And I'm friends with Rolly Delgado, who has been a black belt for about almost 20 years now, and he has issued out about 20 in his time that he's been a black belt. If you're a black belt, you can be a teacher and issue out as well. So he's issued out about 20 over the last 20 years or so. So I don't know if that's stingy or not, or if that's just, the students that have dedicated themselves to it. But yeah. So.
Yeah. John Burnley or JB runs Mongrel, and he's under Rick McCoy. And then Jesse for 10th Planet, he's under Vinny Mogalace. And he has not given out very many black belts either. So
I know who Vinny Mogalace is. Is he near your area?
Oh no, he just opened or is going to open Oasis in Vegas. So he's out in Las Vegas.
He's one guy that I've always wanted to talk to as far as straight up jiu-jitsu goes. I think he's definitely top 5 of all time.
Yeah, he was great. He came out to our school during our promotions. I got to see Jesse get his black belt. He gave a seminar, and he just has a expansive mind that you can just see it flowing together, which is, obviously you want that in a black belt, but it's just, unique the way that he thinks and how he moves, because he's a big dude. He's not little.
No, he fought. No, when he was in the UFC, he fought at 205. That's and he had to probably cut at least 20 pounds to get to 205.
Yeah, and of pure muscle, like he's
right, and he's really pretty. It's just like, but it's I get it. And he's, all kidding aside, he's one guy that I would love to meet. Or at least I wish he would come on this show and talk to me, because it's very interesting just seeing like some of the great jiu-jitsu. And my opinion, at least in the United States, I think he's top 5.
Yeah, I honestly, the rankings to me are just so ever changing with the different denotations, especially like UFC versus gi versus no gi. And then you have your IBJJF folks, like your Adam Warzinski. Like, I would argue he's probably by far the best in gi right now for men. But then it's hard because you have weight classes like Vinny, like if he's competing at 205, and you have probably a really solid group of 150 and 170 guys. Like, I mean, in at least men, generally the bigger guy is going to win. In women, it tends to be the light middleweight tend to do a little bit better. Like your Fifion Davies, your Helena Carter, those gals who are just like 135 to 150, like they tend to like dominate those. But even then, at brown belt at IBJJF, when Helena and Gabby were still brown belts, the heavyweight beat them both. So weight does matter. Just like in wrestling, there's weight classes for a reason.
Right. Well, the concept of jiu-jitsu, at least from a practical standpoint, even if you weren't competing, was that the little guy could take the big guy who didn't have the knowledge of that the little guy had. See, now if you're two competitors, it's an unfair advantage depending on the weight class. Of course, I'm not sure Demetrius Johnson should be fighting John Jones, but
I have a hilarious story about Mr. Johnson.
All right, go ahead.
So I was at Master Worlds in Vegas, like checking in line, just waiting in this long line. And I don't watch a lot of UFC at all. Like I like jiu-jitsu. I'll watch like flow grappling and stuff, but I don't know much about it. And this is just show you why. Okay. So there's this guy just eating his like snack in front of me, and I'm like chit-chatting. I'm like, hey, when's your match? And he's like, oh, it's later today. You should come check it out. It's on Matt whatever. And he's like, when do you go? What belt are you? Blah, blah, blah. And like, we're just talking. He's like, oh, my name's Demetrius. And I was like, oh, nice to meet you. And I go walk back over to my team, and they're like, what are you doing talking to Mighty Mouse? I'm like, who's that? Demetrius? He's really nice. He's up at this time. And they were like, you have no idea who that is, do you? I was like, I was like, he's super nice. He's just, I think he competes at like 125 or 135, like super light featherweight. And they were like, that's Mighty Mouse. He's in the UFC. Like, he's the champ. I'm like, oh, sweet. I love that he's genuinely like a good person, though. Like, to me, that was just so much more as becoming a fan of him. And I mean, he's retired now, but like being a fan of him, I'm like, I know he goes home and he just has like the best time. Like, if you ever watch video clips of him, like with like Mikey Munaneshki and those guys, like he really just is a chill, nice guy.
Yeah, no, I've seen him get his. I've seen him. Haven't met him yet, but I've seen a lot of his videos where he feels like he got duped in the UFC, and I hate that just because I don't know the politics. I've never worked for the UFC. I've never worked press, for the UFC. I've worked press for a lot of independent guys and have covered former UFC fighters or up and coming fighters. But that being said, he felt like he was being duped, and I was like, I've heard he's such a nice guy. Why would they do that? And maybe
it's a lot of politics, I feel like, in UFC, and it's like who you know sometimes, or how you get along with Dana more than, I don't know. It's a ratings game, and I don't.
Yeah, well, I don't get it because I thought he was marketable. I mean, maybe he wasn't the most like smack talkingest in the ring or something like that, but I mean, the guy was finishing fights. He was, he had the belt for a long time. He wasn't exactly what I would call the, most boring guy to watch it all. So I don't know. Who knows? I mean, unfortunately, sometimes in these organizations, you have to not rock the boat. So,
yeah, I don't know the politics with UFC. It seems like a very who's who you know, like who can
right.
talk most shit on somebody. Like,
Exactly.
everybody knows Conor McGregor. Like, they know
Yeah.
he's a piece of shit. Like, but you still want to watch him because he's going to get up there and he's going to put on a show. And he's probably going to lose, but at least someone's going to watch it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you know what? Maybe that's my problem. I'm not controversial enough. That's why I'm not in the UFC as an announcer. But no, I think it's different for us. It's different for us announcers and media and stuff like that. But you know, Ariel Helwani, everybody knows that name. You know, he's very controversial sometimes. So we'll see. But well, I tell you what, it's been good talking to you, and the floor is yours. I want you to promote the fight and tell me where guys like me can watch it.
So thanks for having me on, Hank. This event is the NGA Trio. It'll be up at high noon on July 26th on Saturday. There will be 6 women's trio teams from all over the area, from blue to black belts in each teams. You can stream it on the Millions platform. There will be a couple male super fights, I believe, as well. It's going to be exciting. It's in a pit, so it'll be pit fights. Yeah. So my first pit fight, my first trio. So I'm excited. I think being on a team just gives you a little more encouragement. But if you hit me up, my main platform's Instagram. I'm Mel does BJJ. I'm pretty easy to find. Usually got some wild hair color and a cat in a picture. So if you see a lady with like a rainbow outfit and a cat, it's probably me.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that at all. Well, hey, Melanie, I appreciate you coming on. And I'm, you know, like if I'm not busy, I'll try to catch it. That's what we do here. You know, if I'm not busy, hopefully, you know, gosh, I'm so booked up nowadays, but we'll see. We'll see what I can do, but I've got it in my obviously documented. That's why I like to promote the fight too, so that I can actually document it and promote it. So there you go.
Awesome.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been nothing but a pleasure talking to this lady, and we wish her the best of luck in her upcoming fights. And until next time, this has been the Hank Russell Invitation. Y'all have a pleasant evening.
Hi.